My name is Olivia Bennett. I'm 40, a pediatric nurse, and the proud mother of a 17-year-old girl named Ava. She's not my biological daughter. She's something more sacred than that. She's the child I chose, the child I fought to keep, the child I've loved since the moment her tiny hand reached for mine in that overlit foster center hallway. So when the wedding invitation from my younger sister arrived, thick cardstock, gold trim, all the trappings of importance, I didn't expect it to gut me. It wasn't the ceremony details or the pastel dress code. It was one quiet line at the bottom. Adults only, 18 plus, strictly enforced, no exceptions. I read it twice, then once more, just to be sure. Ava looked up from her sketchbook across the table. She saw my face and didn't ask anything at first. But eventually, in a voice that was too calm to be okay, she said, "She doesn't want me there, does she?" I didn't argue. I didn't call to explain or beg for an exception. I just looked at her and said, "We're not going." And that was the moment everything changed. Ava came into my life when she was 3, with solemn eyes and a silence that felt ancient. She didn't cry much. She didn't speak much either. She watched, always watching, like she was still weighing whether this world, whether I, was safe. The first time she called me Mom, I had just dropped her off at preschool. I smiled, kissed her forehead, and said I'd see her in a few hours. She looked up and whispered the word so casually, like it had always been mine. I made it all the way back to my car before I broke down crying. That one word unraveled me, because from the very beginning, I made her a promise that she would never, not for a single moment, feel unwanted again. And for a while, I thought I was keeping that promise. I enrolled her in dance classes, read her favorite books on repeat, celebrated every tooth lost like it was a national holiday. I introduced her to my family, my parents, my 2 younger sisters, and hoped they'd see what I saw. A kind, brilliant little girl who deserved the world, but they didn't. Not fully, not really. It wasn't overt. No one ever said she didn't belong. It was quieter than that. My mother, for instance, always referred to her as Olivia's girl, never by name. My sister Brittany once said, "Your daughter's tagging along?" when I brought Ava to a baby shower. Tagging along, as if she were a neighbor's child I couldn't find a sitter for. Still, I gave them grace, told myself it was an adjustment, that it would change with time, so I kept bringing Ava to family dinners and birthdays. She would smile, help set the table, draw little pictures for my parents. She made them a card one Easter, pink tulips, hand-cut paper eggs, her neat little handwriting. Every grandchild that day got a basket with their name on it. Except Ava. Hers said, "Happy Spring." She didn't say a word about it. She just sat cross-legged on the floor, holding the basket and smiling like it didn't sting. But it did. When she was 6, she told my father she wanted to be an artist. He chuckled and said, "You'll want something more practical one day." When she was 8 and offered to help set the table for Thanksgiving, Brittany laughed and said, "That's cute, but we've got it." Dismissal became the norm. Not cruel, not loud, but enough to make her hesitate. And yet, she kept showing up. She kept trying. She kept believing they'd see her if she just tried hard enough. And I let her, because I kept hoping too, until that wedding invitation arrived. Until the words on that card confirmed something I had been afraid to name. She wasn't welcome. Not really. Not where it mattered. And that made every little moment I had ignored, every smile she faked, every question she never asked, all come rushing back with brutal clarity. The wedding invitation arrived on a Tuesday. I remember because I'd just gotten home from a long shift at the hospital, still wearing my scrubs, shoes dusty from a double shift. I grabbed the mail out of the box and flipped through Bill's catalogs, and then, there it was. Thick envelope, pearlescent finish, my sister Brittany's name embossed in gold script. Inside, it was everything I expected. Elegant font, lavish venue, champagne reception. Ava was at the kitchen table sketching something in her notebook, probably another fantasy landscape full of color and detail. I smiled to myself. She'd been excited about the wedding for weeks. She'd even made Brittany a handmade engagement card, paper bells, silver glitter, hours of effort. Brittany had smiled and said it was sweet, then tossed it onto the back seat of her car. I found it there weeks later, bent and crushed under a crumpled fast food wrapper. I never told Ava, because she still cared. She still hoped. She'd been browsing dresses online, asking whether she should wear her hair up or down, wondering aloud if she'd get to help decorate. I should have said something then, should have prepared her. Instead, I slit open the envelope, read the venue, the dress code, the date, and then, there it was, the line. Adults only, 18 plus, strictly enforced, no exceptions. I blinked, then read it again. Behind me, I heard the scratch of Ava's pencil stop. She looked up, her eyes searching mine. She doesn't want me there, does she? I wanted to say it wasn't like that it was just a rule, just a formality, that maybe it applied to everyone, but the lie caught in my throat. She says it's an adult-only event, I replied, voice steady, hands trembling. Ava paused. Is it because I'm adopted? There was no anger in her tone, no accusation, just a flat question, like a theory she'd always suspected, spoken aloud for the first time. No, I said instantly. Absolutely not. But we both knew what she meant. She wasn't asking if Brittany had done this because of her legal status. She was asking if she was being excluded, again, because deep down, they never really saw her as family. I flashed back to every birthday party where she handed out homemade party favors while her cousins got store-bought gift bags. Every family photo where she stood slightly to the side. Every holiday dinner where she asked a question and no one answered. They never yelled, never insulted her. They just looked through her. And now this wedding, the one she was genuinely excited for, wasn't just a party she'd miss. It was a door slamming shut. A reminder that no matter how quietly she behaved, how helpful she was, how hard she tried to belong, she would never be enough for them. That night, Ava deleted all the wedding dress screenshots from her phone. Didn't say a word. Just quietly erased every bit of her excitement. I watched her from the hallway, back hunched, face blank. And in that moment, I knew. I couldn't fix this with patience anymore. I couldn't keep asking my daughter to smile through being ignored. This time, I wouldn't smile either. I didn't call Brittany. I didn't ask for clarification or offer a heartfelt plea. I didn't write a carefully worded email or try to arrange a compromise. I simply opened the wedding RSVP link, clicked not attending, and closed the tab. No explanation, no message, just no. The next morning, my phone lit up with a text. Hey, just saw your RSVP. Is everything okay? Then another. If this is about the age thing, I hope you understand. We're being super consistent with everyone. Nothing personal, right? Nothing personal. Except it was. Ava wasn't a random guest. She wasn't a distant cousin, or a coworker's +1. She was Brittany's niece. My daughter, 17, not 7. Mature, thoughtful, gentle. A girl who had made a card, dreamed about a dress, asked if she should bring glitter for the decorations. She wasn't throwing a tantrum. She was showing up, until she was told not to. I didn't respond to Brittany's texts. By noon, Melissa, my other sister, messaged me. Tessa said you're not coming. What's going on? Then came the call from my mother. She rarely called unless something was wrong. Olivia, she said, voice stiff. I heard you're not going to the wedding. Is this really about the age limit? I told her the truth. Ava wasn't invited. I'm not going without her. There was a pause. Then she said, It's not like she's a little kid. She's family. That word again, family, used so carelessly by the very people who treated her like anything but. But no apology followed. No acknowledgement of how Ava might feel. No moment of self-awareness. Just, don't punish your sister over this. It's one night. I didn't argue. We're not going, I said simply. Then I hung up. That should have been the end of it, but of course, it wasn't. The group chat buzzed to life like a hive disturbed. First, Melissa. Can't believe you're making such a big deal over one rule. You always have to cause drama. Then Brittany. This isn't about Ava. You're making it about her. Finally, my mother with a long paragraph about forgiveness, family unity, and how hard it is to be caught in the middle. Not one person asked how Ava was doing. Not one person said, "I'm sorry she felt left out." Meanwhile, Ava stayed quiet. She didn't cry. She didn't rage. She just stopped talking about the wedding. She took the card she'd made for Brittany and tucked it into the bottom drawer of her desk. She went back to sketching other things: forests, oceans, imagined cities where no one was ever excluded. And that, more than anything, broke me. Because she wasn't surprised. She wasn't shocked. She had already learned what I refused to accept for far too long. That they didn't see her. That they never really tried. And I had been complicit. Too quiet, too hopeful, too unwilling to call it what it was. But not this time. This time, I saw it clearly. And I was done pretending not to. For as long as I could remember, Christmas Eve was mine to host. I cooked for 15, scrubbed my kitchen till it sparkled, brought out the folding chairs from the garage, and set the table with care, even when I was exhausted from work, even when I didn't feel festive. But that year, I couldn't do it. I didn't send the usual group text. I didn't ask who was bringing dessert. I didn't shop for cranberry sauce or pull out the extra wine glasses. When my husband James asked, "Should I go ahead and order the chairs?" I shook my head. No extra seats this year. He didn't press. Ava didn't ask. They understood. But my silence didn't go unnoticed. By mid-December, the messages started. From Melissa, "Hey, are we still doing Christmas Eve at your place? Let me know what I should bring." From Brittany, "We'll be 5 again. Let me know if Ava wants anything special this year, if she's even going to be there." That one nearly made me throw my phone across the room. If she's even going to be there. As if Ava had chosen to miss the wedding. As if she'd been dramatic, unreasonable. Not once did Brittany say she missed her. Not once did she express regret. Just that little twist of guilt disguised as sarcasm. I didn't reply. To anyone. I didn't vacuum the rugs. I didn't light candles. I didn't perform. For the first time in years, I gave myself permission to do nothing. And it was beautiful. On Christmas Eve, we made lasagna in pajamas. Ava picked the music, old jazz and indie Christmas covers, and danced barefoot in the kitchen. She baked sugar cookies in chaotic shapes, most of which fell apart when we tried to lift them. We laughed until our sides ached. We watched old movies, opened our gifts early. There were no passive-aggressive remarks, no tiptoeing around unspoken hurt, no sudden silences when Ava entered the room. Just us, full, whole, enough. And in that space, I saw the truth I'd been avoiding for years. All my traditions, all my effort to keep the family stitched together. It was never about love. It was about proving something. That I belonged, that Ava belonged, that we were good enough to be included. But love doesn't ask for proof. Love doesn't make a 17-year-old feel like a guest in her own home. That night, I sat on the couch and watched Ava sketch under her favorite blanket, content and calm. She looked up and said, "This feels like the kind of Christmas people write songs about." I smiled. It's ours, just the way it should be. For once, there was no ache in my chest, just peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from avoidance, but the kind born from truth. The kind that doesn't require silence. A few days later, the calls started. Mom, Melissa, Brittany, I let them ring. Eventually, my dad left a voicemail. "Olivia, we just want to know what's going on. Your mother's upset. It's not too late to do the right thing." The right thing. As if feeding people who'd excluded my daughter was a moral obligation. As if hosting Christmas could somehow erase the years they'd made her feel invisible. No, we didn't owe anyone a dinner. We didn't owe them access to our peace. That year, for the first time, I gave my daughter the one gift no one else ever had. A home where she was seen, loved, chosen. And I gave myself something too. Permission to stop performing. Permission to let go. It was a few days after Christmas when Ava asked me the question that shattered something old and built something new in its place. We were in the living room. I was folding laundry. She was curled up on the couch, her sketchbook open on her lap, pencil moving in slow, thoughtful strokes. She didn't look up when she spoke. "If I wasn't adopted," she said softly, Do you think they'd like me more? The breath left my lungs, not because I didn't expect it, but because deep down, I always had. I sat beside her, reached for her hand. Sweetheart, maybe they would have pretended better. But this? I gestured to the silence, the ache she carried like extra weight. This was never about you. It was about them. She finally looked at me. Her eyes were calm, older than her age. I don't think I want them to like me anymore, she said. There was no bitterness, no anger, just a decision. And that's when I knew we were done waiting, done hoping they'd change, done shrinking to keep the illusion of family intact. 2 days later, Brittany sent a voice message. I recognized the tone before she said a word. Sweet, measured, every syllable polished like glass. I just think it's sad, Olivia, she began. You always made such a big deal about how much you love Ava, but now it feels like you're using her as a shield. Like anytime someone doesn't treat her like royalty, you cut them out. That's not healthy. That's not parenting. That's obsession. I didn't finish listening. I deleted it. But I didn't stop there. I walked to the hallway closet and pulled out the art tube I'd kept hidden for years. A drawing Ava had made when she was 8. Our family. Me, James, Ava, with a golden retriever she always dreamed of having. Above it, she'd written in block letters, "My forever home." I scanned it, had it enlarged and printed on thick matte canvas. Then I mailed it to Brittany's address with a single post-it attached. You had the chance to love her, but you chose not to. Don't worry, we finally chose ourselves. And then, quietly, I blocked her number. One by one, I did the same for the others. Not out of spite, out of clarity. Because if loving my daughter fiercely, without apology, without condition, makes me obsessed, then yes, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with reminding her that she doesn't have to perform for love, that she never again needs to beg for inclusion, that she's not a side note in someone else's story. She's the main character in her own, and I'll never let her forget that. New Year's Eve came quietly. No countdown, no clinking glasses, no strained smiles around a crowded table. Just the three of us, me, James, and Ava, curled up on the couch, playing a board game she'd gotten for Christmas. We were terrible at it, laughing at ourselves, shouting over the rules, throwing popcorn when someone cheated. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Relief. I wasn't waiting anymore. Not for the next subtle insult, not for the next apology that never came. I wasn't planning how to balance other people's comfort with my daughter's worth. I wasn't trying to mend a family that had never truly accepted her. For the first time, I was just living with my family, my real one. There had been so many moments over the years when I could have said more, done more, times when I swallowed my voice in the name of peace. But I've come to learn, peace that costs your child's dignity isn't peace. It's fear dressed up as loyalty. And I'm done being afraid. Ava doesn't need me to protect her from hurtful people with polite smiles and polite excuses. She needs me to protect her with truth, with boundaries, with love that doesn't apologize for existing. She is not a temporary chapter, not a cause I championed and then outgrew. She is my daughter. She is the center of my home. And anyone who can't see that, anyone who needs reminding, doesn't need a seat at our table. Love is not a test she has to pass. It's not earned through silence or obedience. It's hers, by right. So if I've disappointed anyone, if I've become cold in their eyes, let me be clear. This isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's choosing the kind of life where my daughter never has to question if she belongs. And if that means some doors stay closed, then good. Let them stay closed. Because I'd rather lock them forever than let Ava believe, for one more second, that she has to shrink to fit inside them.